I hereby call to order this meeting of the Arizona Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Commission. Today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020, and the time is 10:03 a.m. Would those commissioners that are in attendance please identify themselves and state as to whether they are here in person or via telephone?
This is Joe Pennington. I'm participating via telephone.
And I am Scott Fletcher, and I too am participating via telephone or Zoom meeting, if you will. Let's press on. Item B is our old business. B1 is our COVID-19 update on protocol and status of the commission. Mr. Meneses, I'm going to hand the ball to you.
All right, give me 1 second. We're going. I need to pull up that screen. The host access. The host access stuff. All right. All right, so here's the agenda you were just going through. And yeah, B1, old business. This is really the only thing we have to discuss today. So I mentioned that I feel this would probably be a fairly quick update. So we did hear back that our COVID protocols can continue moving forward. We need to continue looking at other issues that arise. One of the issues we're currently looking at is the legal liability issue. Since COVID is so new and unknown, the concern is if someone, whether it be an athlete, an official, or anyone at one of these events does contract COVID and decides to enter into litigation over it, who's going to hold that responsibility? And so we're working with risk management on that now. That is, I don't have a timeline of when that'll be wrapped up. We have been in contact last week and this week, and we're just kind of finalizing and fine tweaking some of the concerns that risk has raised. One of the issues that we still have a little bit of difficulty with is the AG's office is still unable to provide COVID-related legal advice. If that's correct, Ms. Wagner, correct assessment?
It's that this is a governor's office policy and procedure as far as a communicable disease. And so the one agency isn't going to provide legal advice concerning another agency's decision. So it's not that we're unwilling to, it just wouldn't be prudent.
Yes, I apologize if I used the miswords. But yes, that's what Ms. Wagner said is correct. We have been given authorization if we do get to the point where we do need legal input and the AG's office is unable to at that point, we have gotten authorization to pursue outside legal counsel if need be. So the commission should consider that as well. If that's something we get to and that's something that we determine that we need, we do have that ability if we need to use that to continue moving forward. Another issue that's raised, and I'll just share some personal stuff to tie this in, is in the COVID protocols that we originally wrote, we wrote that there's different testing samples that we would accept. You know, the nasopharyngeal, the swab that everyone talks about that goes way back deep in the brain. And we also talked about a newly developed saliva RNA test. The saliva test only has an efficacy rate somewhere in the high 70s to high 80s or 90s. And just to tie it in, a couple weeks ago, Carlo and I both went and got the saliva COVID test. The state was offering it for state employees. We both went and got it. We both tested positive on the saliva test, and we both did our due diligence to follow up with our medical providers the very next day and got a confirmation test with the swab and was negative. So that's another thing that we're going to run into is, and I've talked to some other states about this as well, is using the saliva test, we have to be prepared to receive several false positives. And the best test is also the most expensive test, and that's the one that goes deep back in the brain. It's also the most intrusive, uncomfortable. I've had that one that goes pretty back deep in there, and it's not comfortable at all. So we're looking at a couple different things. ASU is right now providing saliva testing for their students and state employees. So I'm trying to reach out to them and talk to them as well on the type of test and the efficacy of that test in comparison to other saliva tests that are available. I know the FDA is working on emergency authorizations on other tests. So it's all stuff that we're still considering. And unfortunately, we're still moving forward, but at a slow pace still. And so I don't know that we are ready to resume anything yet. We have gotten the biggest hurdle over, and now we're just trying to fine tweak the final things on our COVID protocol to make it fit within our regulations and address any testing concerns and legal concerns as well. One thing to point out is I have talked to a few of the fighters insurance companies that these are the companies that most promoters frequently work with to provide the required fighters insurance. And a couple of the major ones that I've talked to will not cover any communicable diseases such as COVID. And there is language in their policies to say that. So we know that insurance won't cover it. Most of the general liability insurance that the promoters provide will not cover it. So the state is still looking at whether how do we make that possible, and how do we ensure that everyone has some kind of coverage if they need it, if they get sick, or the legal issues are addressed prior to having any. Any questions? Mr. Fletcher, Ms. Pennington, you guys good?
I'm good. Yep.
As am I. Thank you, Mr. Meneses. I appreciate the update. I know none of us like this current situation, but it continues, and putting on an event is a real minefield at this point. So we will hope that things get better. It looks like the numbers are starting to soften a little bit, but we're not out of the woods on this thing yet either. So more to come. Francisco, Carlo are working hard to keep our protocols in place and be ready when and if the time comes to put on an event. But it's tricky business right now too. Let's press on to the call of the commission. Commission members or the executive director may introduce a summary of current events, ask questions, or make comments. Commissioner Pennington, any thoughts or questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to commend Mr. Meneses and everybody else that's been involved in developing these COVID-19 protocols. I know that it is taking an economic hit for all of our promoters, our fighters, our officials. So it's very, very difficult. And until such time as we have good, clear guidelines and have legal authority or have a legal opinion regarding it, we just have to keep pressing forward.
Agreed. Thank you, Commissioner. I agree. Mr. Meneses, any thoughts or questions?
No, I appreciate it. We, as fighters try to resume going back to the gym to continue their skill, what we've done is pretty much since COVID hit, early on, the commission has started doing, and I've talked about this in other commission meetings, we've done official training. So a couple days a week, Arizona hosts a boxing officials call, and we host an MMA officials call for Arizona. We watch bouts, we look at referee mechanics issues, we talk about them, we mock score, and we work through those. We also encourage our officials, and we also participate in 2 worldwide official phone calls, Zoom calls for both boxing and MMA, doing the same exact thing. So we've continued to be busy. And in addition to working through these COVID protocols and trying to get this so we can be prepared, the commission has continued to work as best we can to keep our perishable skills up as well. So we're trying to hopefully, and we know the fighters are getting ready to start up, we're trying to hopefully get ready to start up, and hopefully we can meet in the middle here in the very near future.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Meneses. They're difficult times. I feel badly for promoters, for fighters, for us. It's no fun. Nobody wants it this way, but stay tuned. It's a moving target. Our direction from above is moving, and hopefully we move in the right direction, but we're not there yet. I'm glad we at least had the chance to get together and talk about this. Let's talk with the public. Item D is call to the public. Those members of the public wishing to address the commission must attend via video conference and either utilize the raise hand function or message the meeting host directly to be recognized by the chair. We would ask that each presenter be given approximately 5 minutes to speak. Who would like to chat with us?
So you can push the raise hand function, or you can message Carlo Becerra. He is, or maybe I'm the meeting host now. Either Carlo or I message us directly, or push the raise hand function, and we will unmute you if you'd like to address the commission.
Anybody? No takers? Joel? Yes, Joel's raising his hand.
Well, good morning, Commission. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Francisco. I couldn't find the raise hand button, so I had to manually do it. Thank you for having this meeting, and it's done a wonderful job in figuring, the ins and outs of where we're going with this. From a standpoint, we have a different opinion and perspective on why we should move forward with MMA, because we look at other industries. Like, for instance, the schools have figured out how to go open, live in-person schooling here in the next couple weeks. The AIA has also started their process just to start practice next Monday, September 21st, for football and those other kind of contact sports. And I work at a school, and I asked them if there's a safety protocol, and they showed it to me, and it's not as thorough as ours. And I said, well, how are you guys allowing it? We're going to do temperature checks. We're going to do weekly coaching, swab tests. I go, weekly? He goes, yes, weekly, because the season is long and we've got to make sure that everybody's safe. So we're talking hundreds and hundreds of athletes that play football and not. So I just have a difficult time understanding why we can't implement something for a one-day event when everybody else has figured out how to protect themselves through a COVID procedure for a whole season. We're only asking for a day or two of safety measures, so to speak. And the thing with the legalities, I mean, if we all take a test and we're all safe and we're all clear, because obviously our COVID protocol determines who gets in and out. So if someone gets COVID, they're not allowed in our facility. So everybody pretty much who was in the event itself has already taken a test. So where's the liability of people contracting COVID? Are we talking about the liability of people getting COVID outside of our event or getting COVID from our event? Because to me, it's no different than somebody getting a cold or a flu outside. They're not going to sue us for that because we have nothing to do with that. Fighters come with ringworm. They come with chlamydia, herpes. There's worse things out there that fighters contract. And I've never been sued or, knock on wood, I've never had a claim against me for any kind of communicable disease. So I have a hard time accepting this. And I understand, it's all about safety and legalities and liability. But at this point, we've got the venue liability. I've got the COI, and then I've got the fighter's liability that protects them from way worse dangers than COVID is dangerous, but don't get me wrong. But, someone's trying to kill you and smash your head in there is quite, it's a dichotomous situation for me. It's black and white. And so I don't know what the real issue is for us to move on when we proposed a COVID protocol for a no audience, only fighters with a skeleton crew from the commission, even my staff, of no more than 70 people in a closed area. I don't know what the real constraints are, so to speak, in moving forward with a COVID protocol, no live audience. MMA show.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. I think you make a compelling point. I know crowds are a huge issue, obviously, but your notion of a pay-per-view, I think, is something that that we're working towards. We need direction on this too, but a crowd is right now a deal killer, I think. But a pay-per-view makes some sense. Commissioner Pennington, thoughts?
You mind if I weigh in real quick while he's?
Oh yeah, please.
So just a couple things to touch on. A lot of the other entities that you mentioned that are resuming activities, they don't fall under regulation. They don't fall under government regulation. That's what makes this a little bit different. The government is tied to this. The state of Arizona is tied to this. So, and it's not just MMA, because we also regulate boxing, we have to look at federal law as well. So we have to make sure that we are able to resume everything that we are entrusted to regulate before we can move forward. I disagree with the characterization that people are in the cage trying to kill each other. I think that was a characterization that was given 20 years ago, and that's what delayed the advancement of the sport for a long time. Let's be real that no one's trying to kill each other in the cage. People are trying to showcase their competitive talent and their athleticism. So I think it's, I understand your frustration. I understand that you have COIs and things like that. You aren't the only person that's invested in here. The state has a major investment as well. Everyone that is involved in the event has vicarious liability or has the potential of having vicarious liability to be sued. And so we want to make sure that we mitigate that as well. And then, ultimately, we want to make sure that we're doing what's best for not only the state, but also the athletes. And I know that other states have started, some other combative states have also started resuming sports. But if you also look at some of the decisions behind approving some of those events and other things, they're not things that we're willing to concede on at this point. We want to make sure that we put health and safety and figure out the liability issues first and the testing issues first, because we don't want to be halfway into something and then all of a sudden have things turn from good to bad or bad to worse, and we're trying to scramble how to rectify or right a situation. So I don't think we're terribly far off on resuming at this point. Like I said, I think we've cleared the biggest hurdle that we really did have. I truly anticipate having, I would venture to guess, much better news at the next commission meeting. I think I'm trying to narrow all this down. Like I said, I've been in great talks this last week and this week with risk management. That's really where I need to finish narrowing some things down. I need to talk to AZDHS about saliva testing, and then I need to go back to talk with promoters about their insurance coverages and what they have as well. And we're also still looking at introducing an additional liability waiver form that would also absolve some of that. So we're looking to see who needs to fill one of those out. Does it need to be done? And who needs to sign up? So there's still a lot of work. I just don't think we're ready to make that decision yet. I know it's disappointing, and I know that the promoters and people in the industry are definitely frustrated. I get it, and all of our officials want to get back to work as well, and we want to be back to being busy on the weekends. And during the week, if we have events, and traveling up to Twin Arrows and out to Blue Water and down to Tucson and out to downtown Phoenix. We want to go to all these different places as well. It's just we got to do it when it's right and when it's safest for everybody. This is a disease that is still way too unknown, and it's something that we just don't know what the long-term ramifications are, and we don't know how the legal issues will come later. I know that Mr. Lopez mentioned he had never been sued for a communicable disease before. We haven't had something like COVID affect us before in our generation that is impacting our sports like it is right now and affecting everyday life. So I think we can all agree that this isn't a normal situation that we would normally just address like another a disease. So just keep those things in mind, and keep your frustration. I understand we're trying to work there, and we'll work with you guys. I know that Joel has already sent over his anticipated COVID protocols that would mirror what we're asking, and that was, we recommended that early on so that so when we got to this point, we could quickly work through those together. And so I think we're pretty close to wrapping some of that up as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manassas.
All right, looks like Mr. Pennington is having some connection issues, so we're gonna pause for a minute because we lost our quorum.
So we can get him back. Tight. Okay.
But I think the only thing we have left is anyone else wants to hit the raise hand button. Jason Martinez. Okay, Jason, we got yours. Give us a second. We got to wait for Mr. Pennington to jump back on.
I lowered my hand. Nothing I say is going to make a difference at this moment.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Bob? Okay. Emiliano? Francisco?
Yeah, hi. Emiliano Forgo.
Sorry, we muted you again, Emilio. We have to wait for Mr. Pennington back on because you are addressing a matter before the commission. Mr. Pennington, if you can hear us, it might be quicker and best to fully disconnect and re-log back in. Looks like you've been trying to connect for a few minutes. Okay, I got Mr. Pennington on my phone. I'm going to put him near the computer. He said he did hear what we were saying. He wasn't able to speak out. So we're still good there, and we will unmute Emiliano.
Hi, guys. Emiliano Fregoso, Cronkite Sports. I'm just curious, for the commission, have you guys reached out to your fighters and asked their opinions on the matter? Because I know Joel has, and how they would want to proceed moving forward and how the protocol should move forward, just to get their thoughts on it.
We haven't yet spoken to the fighters. This is still a higher level discussion. Once we get closer to narrowing down how our procedures are going to go, we'll definitely make sure that we include the fighters and get input as well as to what they're comfortable with and what they're willing to agree to. But right now we need to make sure that everything will pass muster at the state level, and that everything is within the normal practices of how to resume a combative sport at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who else wants to chat?
Looks like I got Raul Porata.
Yes, good morning, Commission. I just wanted to state that me and other officials have taken part in the trainings and for the Arizona Commission, the California Commission, and they've been most useful. So I definitely appreciate that. It's just a good way of making lemonades out of lemons, and thank you for the executives for putting them together. So I just wanted to tell the commissions that they're very helpful, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess all we can do in this downtime is try and get better at what we do, because we're going to reopen at some point. So that's great to hear. We'll continue down that path. Who else?
Looks like nobody else is raising their hand.
Okay. Well, it's great to see your faces, at least, and I look forward to shaking your hands when it's legal again.
Do elbow bumps for now. That's what's in. That's what's in.
Let's press on.
Real quick, I just want to say one more quick thing. As we are working through this, we've also been ordering the supplies that are needed. So just so everyone has the peace of mind that we are trying to get this going, we've ordered the face shields for our medical staff. We've ordered contactless thermometers. We have plenty of gloves. We have hand sanitizer. We've already ordered that stuff. It's all sitting on my desk. We've gotten the stuff that we need that we've already requested through through what we anticipated needing for the COVID protocols. So we're still working for all that stuff. We have all that stuff ready to go. It's just a matter of time before we can start.
I guess the moral of the story is we're doing everything we can to be ready. The frustration is palpable amongst the commission members, and Emiliano asked about the fighters. They're obviously very frustrated about this. Joel, on the promoters basis, I think, voiced the frustration, and I wish we had an event planned for Saturday night, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Have faith. Stay safe, and have faith, and we'll get there. Item E is the announcement that the next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. And it's subject to change based on a quorum. But hopefully we'll see you all then. And that leads us towards the possibility of adjournment. Is Mr. Pennington able to make a motion? I will second the motion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. We are officially adjourned. It's good to see you all. Take care, and hopefully we'll have better news on October 14th.
We are off the record at 10:28.
Okay.